In this video, let's see access control modifier on getters and setters of properties. So coming to access control, we know that we have several access control in Swift, starting with internal, which is the default. I'm not going in depth and not going to discuss in depth on these access specifiers, but I'm just mentioning. Then we have file private, then we have private, and we have public. Okay, these are pretty much and open being the least restrictive and private being the highly restrictive. So these are the access control specifiers we have. So in this video we cover a particular scenario where we can modify the access level of a setter of a property. Let's see how is that. Let's say I have a product uh, called I have a product and it's having manufacturer price, where market price is different and manufacturer price is different. So let's say this is the default is 0.0, let's say. Okay, so this manufacturer price, the concept is outside of this model, it should not be available for setting, but you can get it, but you can't set this property. So what we generally do, we tag private here, and when you try to access it, you can't access it, correct? So why? Because you're giving it as private. So what we usually do, we write one more method or one more property, you know, to get this particular property, correct? This is how we write a getter, like this is how we do it, and we simply pass the private property in this method, and we can get it using product dot get manufactured date, correct? This is how it usually goes. For example, if it is $10, so this is how it usually goes. So if I have, this is fine, but imagine if I have a couple of private variables like this, and for everything, if I need to write this type of method. For example, if I have, let's say, license number. Okay, license number, let's say some 2 3 4 5. So for this also, imagine me writing get get license number, which is an int. Now where I need to return the license number, it's fine, but this increases the number of lines of code and makes the code, clumsy and messy. Why? Because why? Because each private property is having a public getter method, public alpha a private getter method to access the private property. So instead of this, in Swift, what we can do is we can so I don't want this license number to be like this. What I can do is, boss, you can get it, but let me restrict the setter of it. This is enough. Now I don't need to write it. Now if I see the license number, I can get it. It will not throw any build error and it will give me, whereas I cannot at any cost set it. I cannot at any cost set it. See, cannot assign a property license number setter is inaccessible. Inaccessible. Why? Because it is private. The setter, we have given the access specifier, access modifier as private. Okay, so in the same way, we can use the power of access modifier in Swift, and we can reduce the number of lines of code. You don't need to write any getter method. Swift is having its own access modifiers, using which you can write your you can access the private properties. By the requirement is like you can't set it, but you can get it outside, so we can do something like this. Okay, this is the way, but you cannot write private get, but this private takes only set as an argument. if you try to do it, it will give expected set as subject of private modifier. A private modifier can get only setter as, you can only set, you can only pass the setter as private. So this is what I wanted to stress in this video, which is very useful. You might have seen it in your projects writing private set. One advantage is using the concept of access modifier. Second is you don't need to write multiple lines of code writing number of get methods for all the private variables in your piece of code. Correct? I hope this post is useful. Thank you.